Whoa, hey guys, welcome in. We are here at Talladega Super Speedway. We are going to be watching the Camping Universe Xfinity Series. I am your host, Vince Pachotti. I am joined by my co-host, Neonism, otherwise known as Jesse Abraham. Jesse, got a copy with us here?
Yeah, I got you loud and clear.
Well, hold on, let me get out of this camera view because my face is not quite in the camera as is customary. So, we're here at Talladega. The last time we were at a super speedway race, we had a kind of a long race of attrition. It seemed like there was a lot of minor incidents that entire race that plagued drivers' ability to win. More space here at Talladega. Do you think that means more clean racing, or should we expect something that we saw this past weekend, like in the Cup Series race?
I'm not really sure. I predicted the Cup race pretty well, but this league has been really clean. The super speedways didn't really have too big of an issue. Had a lot of really good racing back at Daytona. So honestly, it could go either way. There is that more space, and sometimes that means drivers get a little greedy, take a little bit more than really what they have. I watched a race a couple days ago where two guys took a lot of advantage of that space, where the inside and outside lane were leaving a lot of space, and they just drove up the middle of them. So we'll see what happens with these guys.
Watching practice times here right away, I noticed that there was quite a bit of distance between some of the other cars that maybe only ran single lap times, and some of the lead pack cars. We were at a 50.4. Now for qualifying, we're assuming that they'll probably be around the 52 range. Right now, the fastest car in practice was the 29 of Newbigging. You know, he had a great Daytona race. I think he's kind of shown that he's been fast this year. We'll see if that fast practice speed will translate to a good qualifying start situation for him now.
Yeah, the qualifying is going to be interesting because some drivers will intentionally throw their qualifying laps so they aren't pitting at the very back, but maybe aren't starting up front either.
Well, I don't know how someone has the time to figure that one out. When I qualified, I was lucky to start in. I was lucky to start in whatever position I found myself in. So these guys are better than me if they're able to kind of figure that out. So far, it looks like first lap. These are the out laps here that we're going to start see piling in. Looks like Robinson, the 37 car, has kind of struggled this year in terms of speed. He looks like he's been the fastest car thus far, so we'll see if that translates. They do have technically 3 laps here because exiting pit lane, you will pass the start-finish line. So it'll be 3 laps around, not just the regular 2. I always wondered how iRacing could figure that out, but couldn't figure out how to get the cars to start on not the chicane at the Roval.
Yeah, those are intentional decisions, design choices, we'll call them. I remember playing an old NASCAR game where they did count your out lap because you crossed the start-finish line, and you just had to book it back around, and you only ever got that one qualifying lap.
We're seeing how some cars are taking maybe different strategies around this track. Marshall Newton, who has had a good job, has done a good job qualifying the last few weeks. So far with the fastest lap time, we're starting to see some of these cars coming out doing their second lap. Right there is the 57. He's coming around. I believe that is to complete his first lap, but he ran around the bottom all the way around. So 54 flat by Sykes is the time to beat, and Ziegler only puts down 1 lap. Did they only give them 2 laps? Maybe that was a mistake by the league's part. I'm seeing a lot of cars slow. I think the league only gave them 2 laps, the out lap and the next lap, and I think a lot of these cars are just now realizing that. So that's interesting. That has changed how qualifying has gone. Typical suspects still at the front of the field, but I'm seeing a lot of guys who rode the wall all the way around the track who are not going to have the qualifying run that they were probably hoping for because of that.
That's something that always makes qualifying kind of interesting at Talladega, more so than what you would think, just riding around. That's a surprising call, 1 lap or one. Yeah, it looks like they got 1 lap in essentially.
Hey,
This
I don't know how we
is
got
this is the
home channel.
42 right here of Dugan that we're going to see coming around. We're going to do a quick break, but when we come back, we're going to have the race starting here, so don't go anywhere. We have a couple of viewers in, so we want to thank those who are stopping by and checking us out. You guys, if you are interested in joining this league, there are only 5 races. This is the 6th race of the season, into the season, and you guys can check them out at the Camping
All right,
Universe
welcome
League.
everyone to Talladega Super.
All right, we are coming in. As you can see, starting lineup on the left side of your screen is Jeffrey Sykes, who, if y'all remember Daytona, I think he started in the front row there. He's going to be starting in first place. Of course, though, before we get started, we want to thank the Camping Universe Xfinity Series for having us come on board. This has been a lot of fun. I think Jesse and I both agree that it's been a blast to watch these cars every Tuesday night. It gives us a nice break in the middle of the week from our regular boring self jobs.
Oh yeah, these guys are some just great drivers to watch. This is a great league to sit down and watch. I'm glad to be calling it.
All right, I'm going to start with the front row, and then I'm going to hand it off. Starting on the inside of row number 1 will be, again, that is Jeffrey Sykes in the 04, and the Big Ass Fans Chevrolet. And on the outside of him, point leader and multi-race winner and winner at Daytona, Dustin Matson.
Row 2, league owner Jared Ziegler in the 57, going for another win. Levi Opitz is going to be next to him. Behind them, Antonio Bianchi and Marshall Newton in the 76.
Behind Marshall Newton is the 29 of Newbigging. He was very fast in practice, had the fastest lap time. He was good at Daytona as well. We'll see how that translates. On the outside of him is the 81 Super of Allen, making his return from last week. And then rounding out the top 10, I am showing the 47 of Herzog on the inside, and the who's going to be on the outside of him, and the Nelson in the 07.
Yeah, that's how I'm seeing. Behind them, Chris Parkman in the number 8 and Norman King in the 28. Kevin Nelson is behind them in the 09, and Stephen Mayock in the 95.
One name to keep an eye on, missed last week, is the 42 of of Dugan, of Tyler Dugan in the 42. So we'll have to watch him. You'll see him in that orange and white Tennessee Volunteers Chevrolet. Pace cars coming in. Most exciting part of this race is these restarts. As they get up to speed, these cars will start jockeying around for position. They're going to wait on the green flag here to start the race.
Green, green, green.
Restart zone. There it is. Green flag is out. A good restart by both lanes, but right now it looks like the 0-4 is getting a great shove by Jared Ziegler. Those guys are locked up outside line. Very disorganized until you get back to row 4 where the cars are stacked on top of each other. First 6 cars looking like they're breaking away just a little bit. Everyone's staying in their lane though.
First time in the back stretch. Oh, bailed on the outside lane. Looks like 4 cars on the inside now. Still getting up to speed going down the back stretch here.
And Dustin Madsen slides into that 13 car. That'll leave Marshall Newton on the outside all alone. He's going to look for some drafting help possibly. Sykes, though, with being the control car on the inside line, looks like he's going to be able to pull away from these cars and lead this first lap. Outside lane continues to fall back. And I'll be interested in seeing how these guys race. Do they stay single file for long periods of time, or do they race non-stop, keep that outside lane moving? Sykes strangely jumps to the outside there. Did he just get shoved up there?
I'm not quite sure. Talladega's a little weird when you come out of the tri-oval. There's an extra lane that the tri-oval has. So Ziegler might have ducked under him in that space. I'm not really sure what happened there.
Either a big-time mistake or just a strange decision for Sykes to move up there. I'm actually seeing, I'm not sure if that's just the game glitching out, maybe a little bit of damage to that left front. I can't tell if that's just the game glitching out or his paint not lining up or something. That's very bizarre, but luckily for him, he's only fallen back to about 5th place, and he's been picked up by that 76 car of Marshall Newton, who appears to want to make that outside lane work, and they are making it work. They're almost back to the top 5 here, both of them.
All last week, the outside lane showed itself to be the passing lane, and here they are back up to the 2nd row already.
So hard to clear the leader, and Jared Ziegler gets loose, goes to the apron. He's trying to find a way to merge back onto this track. 3 wide up front. Sykes moves up a lane. And here comes Marshall Newton. Great job by Ziegler to clear himself up the track. Found himself an opening there between the front pack and the middle pack. But that really broke up both lanes. And how about one name we don't mention very often? That's Antonio Bianchi. He will lead himself a lap here now.
Getting pushed by Levi Opitz. Opitz, was he our Daytona winner?
No,
Pretty
that
sure
was
he was.
Madsen, the 13 car one Daytona.
That's right. 13:31.
But that 51 car went up to block the 13 of Madsen, just as we mentioned him. Bianchi moves up. Levi Opitz sees the door open wide for him. And there he goes. More cars dropping back now. We see Newbegin dropping out of this lead pack. There he is. He'll try to merge back in.
Madsen pushed the 51 clear and then tried to go to the 3rd lane. Looks like Dugan's going to push him in the 3rd lane up here. That's going to be a fast pair.
And that will be a fast pair. Let's see if Marshall Newton in the middle lane chooses to slide up, maybe pick those cars up. Dugan drops back down. He'll settle for that middle lane. With a 31 car of Levi Opitz somehow slid up and will clear the 51. He's going to bring Marshall Newton with him. And Marshall Newton, who really was the first car to stay up on that outside lane. He was kind of the pioneer of that lane. Will slide into 2nd. And Antonio Bianchi slow on the apron, and again they're moving backwards. So I'm not sure what the strategy is. Is this cars not wanting to race right away, or cars who led laps and said, okay, I led my lap, I'll go to the back now?
I think that's what it is, but the problem with that is if enough cars drop back to the pack is just going to be in the back. And then if you try to string out, you're just going to keep losing more and more time to the leaders that are pushing and drafting.
Absolutely true. How about our biggest mover of the race, the 42 of Dugan? I told you to watch that 42 car. He is up on the outside lane all alone right now, but he had a little bit of a shove from that 8 car. Still unable to clear the 48. Now he'll likely lose that spot to the 8 on the outside line. He was trying to make something work at the line. He was up 14 positions, up into 4th place. So what a great start for him so far. Marshall Newton continues to push Levi Opitz as they barrel down the back straightaway, down into turn 3 here. I like what you said. If the left cars go to the back, everyone will just kind of end up in the back. And right now we have about 8 cars up front trying to get that lap lead. Looks like Smorl will have a chance to get himself this lap lead this time by. Ooh, looks like a little bit of a fight back, but if they are able to lead this lap, which looks like they will, the biggest movers of this race are literally your top 3. All have gained more than 10 spots from where they started in this race. So, guys in the back going to the front, guys in the front going to the back.
Yeah, and something else, like this is a clean league. I think these guys can expect at least one green flag pit stop, depending on how the fuel is and depending on how, if any, cautions fall. But if you lose whatever time you're losing now, keeping yourself safe, that's time on the track.
That said, the fastest lap of anyone was actually just set by the 19th place car of Steven Mjok, who hit a 50.7. So that's actually 0.3 off of what we saw in practice. So these cars are going pretty soft on each other right now, but I think that shows that string of cars could get lined up and catch these leaders if they so choose. But all it takes is one mistake. We see that every time you race here. We see that it's every race, every league, doesn't matter. It feels like every race there's a caution that is not actually a caution. There's just a big wreck that, for whatever reason, iRacing decides is not caution-worthy, and it splits the pack up 10 seconds apart. That to me has always sent me to stay in the front. I want to stay in the front. I want to stay in this lead pack. I think if this lead pack can continue to kind of stay clean, you could see a situation where it splits the 2 groups up between lead pack cars and second tier cars.
Yeah, I think some of the cars in the back might be listening to the broadcast because the line in the back is much tighter than it was 2 or 3 laps ago.
They're cheesing in, they're listening to us, thinking to themselves, okay, he might have a point here. Let's pick up the pace, because the fastest cars on the racetrack last time by all had a 51.3, but they were all in the middle of the pack. As there's a moment there for the 31 car. He slides out of line, maybe kind of got pushed down there, maybe trying to do the same thing as other cars did. He'll slide back up, and that'll change the complexion of this lead group once again. I don't know who hasn't led a lap at this point up here. Last time by, Parkman was second. He is yet to lead a lap, to my recollection. And here comes Herzog. He's looking for his first lap lead, so he'll come around. Someone will lead their first lap here, and it looks like it was Parkman in the 8 car.
Has Dugan led a lap yet? I saw him 3 wide there up in the front row a lap ago or so.
He tried. He certainly tried. Herzog got so close, and now he's had everyone dump him and jump to that inside line. Got 4 cars really bunched up on the inside line. Nobody on the outside, and now we have a long conga line of every car's on the bottom. So suddenly, this is looking like a typical Talladega race where everyone goes to the bottom and kind of abandons the idea of passing each other. I've never liked racing like that, but if you're stuck in a green flag situation, sometimes it's easier to just kind of sit there.
Yeah, but that is one part of it. The other part of it is it's a lot easier to find, or it's not easy to find someone to help you with, but if you can show someone that you can just draft around somebody, then they might go with you, just like how Adam Allen here is going to the outside with Herzog, trying to make that outside work.
That Windstar Energy Supra jumps out trying to push Herzog, and it only takes 2 cars to be fast enough on the outside lane to make the lane work. At least stay even. Now that Norman King will jump to the outside. I'm seeing Bianchi further back. He's looking to the outside. He got a run on some of these other cars directly in front of him. And now, suddenly we have 7 cars under a blanket for this lead. All of them pushing each other pretty hard. And again, the stringing out of the second group here. Looks like the second group's starting to get strung out again from this first group. And I think it's because this first group just got a run, and instead of tapping the brakes, they just went with it. I think that's a big part of why the pack can be faster than a string of cars even is.
Yeah, with how the aero packages are, it's so much easier to just take that run to the outside and see how it sticks than it is to, I'm going to check up, 6 or 10 miles per hour so that I don't run over the car in front of me. And now they have a 4-car line, and now they're taking the lead.
Herzog jumps down, will disconnect that outside line just a bit. He'll abandon Adam Allen in that 81 car. He's looking to get some help from the 28 at King. That Herzog is yet to lead a lap, and if everything holds true, there's a long time between here and the front, that start-finish line. Oh, 3 wide. Oh, they're wrecking for sure. Oh, there they go. 2 cars are around.
The yellow flag is out.
And there's big wreckage behind them. Oh, can they? Oh, they cannot all avoid the 28 of King. That was the 2 of Pennington, I believe, who had nowhere to go, nailing Norman King. And that was just a tight hole that was not there. And the driver involved, it was the 42. I kind of saw him disappear as that wreck happened there. Not sure if he hit an Alt F5 as soon as he saw that he was causing that wreck. And Pennington, who has not had any luck this year, had nowhere to go and clobbers the 28 car, Norman King, who's also had a very struggling of a year. Adam Allen, he's already towed, as they're going to wait for the pace car here. Pace car is going to zip around. This will get us to pit stops, so we'll see who comes in and who doesn't come in for pit stops. But very suddenly we were talking about some good hard racing, and we had an awkward 3 wide moment, and that, no matter what, will cause an issue at this track. Looks like all of your leaders are starting to come in here. Is this a situation where you're taking fuel only, maybe?
Probably. Only 12 laps in. As long as you didn't hurt your tires in that incident, we don't have debris to worry about yet, so yeah.
Well, we'll come back and reset you here. Looks like the few cars staying out. The 04 of Sykes, Aaron Corey in the 44, and 38 of Austin Cooper. We'll be right back to see that replay. So this is the replay. So you're going to see the 42. You're going to see how he kind of goes in the middle. The lane is there, and then suddenly no one kind of expected him to make it 3 wide. You see his car disappear. I'll tell you one guy who did an excellent job in all of that craziness was the 76. He kind of kept his car in a straight line and survived that. A lot of big moments back here. Cars avoiding that wreckage. And, of course, we talked about the 2 did not avoid that wreckage. 31 car, he spun around. Looks like he's got some solid damage to that car on the front end. And point leader. So, what's the phrase? Point chase implications, 13 car. So it's some pretty heavy damage on that front end as well.
07 also got quite a bit of damage to the rear end, and I think the side as well. 13 as well. Yeah. A lot of cars up front that were kind of riding in the back, try to check up, and everybody's in a line.
That's the other thing. That whole line business, I can promise you, does not always help the whole I'm going to avoid the wreck thing. Now, I'm trying to figure out how this one happened. I'm showing the 38 behind the 47, but the 38 did not pit nor did he come in the second time. So somehow the 47 beat the 38 while the 38 never came into pit lane. I don't know how that happened. I mean, don't you get a black flag if you just drive straight through pit lane and there's still cars on the racetrack?
That's a good question. I don't. Well, if anybody else was, there wouldn't have been anybody else on the track because everybody pitted. So if he missed his stall and just drove through, the only other car was the pace car, and pit road exit would have been open by then.
Maybe, but you have to think there was a few cars that stayed out instead of not just the 38. Though those cars have now just come in and pit, and that was the 7 of Ziegler, the who else was it? I lost their name here through all the craziness. Oh, the 04 of Sykes, and some more cars came back in just now to top off fuel and maybe get a last second repair damage. So bizarre, and a bizarre looking restart. It looks like everyone after the first 4 rows is kind of in a straight line here. So I think this is kind of a strategy to maybe survive. This is a 100-lap race, and we are only on lap 14, coming around to complete 15 and take the green flag. So everyone playing it the super safe way here. So I'm curious. I never want to see that many cars playing it safe, because when that many cars play it safe, it's never safe.
Yeah, it's easy to get run over. Your strategy and plans are all out of whack. Yeah, we'll see what happens here.
The Slick Rick U.S. Army number 38 of Austin Cooper will be in the inside. Herzog, your leader, on the outside, choosing the outside lane. Only 4 cars lined up on the outside.
Green flag, green flag.
And green flag is out. Looks like the 76 will give a huge shove to the 47, trying to clear them both down. And look at that outside lane there, all playing the aggressive route, really shoving each other. The 07, both with the 48 with damage there. 76 and the 38, or the 76 and the 47 will clear the 38 here through turns 1 and 2.
2 tandems up front. They cleared the first row just about. Now they have. See if the 48 and 07 stay outside. I imagine they will, and I think they might take advantage and try and drive away from a lot of these cars.
Interesting decision here for some of these cars. I'm curious to see the 38 strategy of staying out there. Did not have a very good restart. We saw him do this at Daytona, and it almost backfired big time for him and the 48 when they tried it at Daytona. But right now, kind of holding his own, sitting right there in 5th, and it looks like the outside lane is the preferred lane as the inside gets disconnected. And at the line, Smorl in the 48 car will lead that lap and maybe take the 07 car with them.
Oh, 07 ducks under the 48. They're switching it up front. I figured they would take that momentum and try and drive away from these guys, but now they're lined up.
That
48
leaves the 48 all alone. 38 car for a few rows behind him there, sitting on the outside. And here comes Parkman, who we know he wants to get back to the front. If you're just joining us, give us a comment. What are you seeing out here?
A few of the guys that were in that wreck spinning around a few minutes ago are right up front now.
Exactly right, including the 76 car, who was kind of in the middle of that. The 76 was very much not at fault. He was kind of just holding his own on the apron when the 42 went to the middle lane, and then the middle lane disappeared. 76 got some right side damage, but I would say probably was the cleanest car out of those who were directly involved in that wreck. And now he's getting a shove from one of the cars who got the most damage from the wreck, the 48 car of Smorl. They are shoving each other all the way back to this lead right now.
If we had door marks in iRacing, they'd be all over the side of that 76 car. But he might be going for the lead right now.
A little bit of momentum lost. He has 2 damaged cars to his outside versus 1 damage and a couple of clean cars to his inside. I'm curious to wonder why some of these cars who did get that damage didn't just get it fixed. But maybe they did and they just had too much of it and didn't clear up. I'm not sure. But some interesting strategies. I'm hearing somebody wreck or something just happened.
I'm not seeing anything.
Well, I thought I heard the tires squealing on my side.
Ah.
It may have just been the delay of the... It may have just been the 09 as he drove by disappearing.
Ah. Marshall Newton in the 76 clears the 07 for the lead now, and the 48's going to go to work to try and get the lead back.
Marshall Newton, who had the pole last week but did not lead a single lap. He just narrowly missed leading a lap 1 to Jared Ziegler last week at Vegas, and then kind of meandered around the track, finished a decent 8th place, but never really showed the speed that he showed in qualifying because he kind of chewed those tires up too quickly. Gets a little bit of redemption back there, leads a couple laps here now in a row, and here comes the 48 of Smorl, who he takes these super speedways very seriously, and he is showing it up right now. He has led a couple of laps, and he's trying to lead some more here.
I think they're going to do that. They're hooked up pretty tight on the bottom side now, too.
Last week's winner, Caleb Nelson, really shoving that 76 car. I think he wants to maintain this lead, and with the damage to the 48 and the 8 car, he might be able to push him and maintain that. We'll see if the inside lane follows. But, I'm trying to think about how many laps you can go. You can probably go about 30 to 35, 38 laps on fuel. So with everyone pitting on lap 10, it kind of shows everyone with 2 stops left to make. So you can't assume this thing will stay green all the way to the end, but you can't race as if it's not possible, right?
Yeah, any restart could be the last restart, so you want to be as ready and prepared. That goes back to like you questioning why they didn't get their damage fixed. Like, if it's only like 5 or 6 seconds, like, a lot of cars are going to play it safe, get it fixed, and maybe go out and just drive past everybody playing it safe.
How about one guy trying to drive past the leader right now? The 07 waited for the opportunity for the outside lane to get a run, and as soon as they did, he took it. Caleb Nelson leads that lap. He'll likely slide back in front of Marshall Newton. He does. And he takes advantage of that outside line as soon as he saw the opportunity to do so. Great move right there by the 07 car. Let's see if the 76 gives him the benefit of the push now. I'm showing all of the lead lap cars all the way back to Aaron Corey in 17th place are all in this pack together right now. A couple of cars are off track or in pit lane. The 2 of Pennington still in pit lane. You saw Dugan cause that incident. He retired immediately during that incident, has not returned. And Aaron Allen, we talked about him and how good he looked at some points in this race. He, too, is multiple laps down, currently shown 10 laps down. He may have retired from this race, though it doesn't show him in pit lane anymore. So quite a few cars with some pretty heavy damage still struggling out there.
Still 17 cars in the lead lap in this main draft. More than enough for some super speedway shenanigans.
Shenanigans begate shenanigans. That's always a phrase that holds true, especially at a super speedway. You have one guy try to go to the middle. As soon as the middle disappears, you have a big wreck. I'm not uncertain to believe that that's going to happen again here. But right now, they're all trying to play it safe, except for the 48 and the 8 car. They are desperate to get to lead this Congo line here. You don't want to fall back when all of these cars are bunched up like this. Right now, there's very few holes throughout the entire field. Closest one I'm seeing is back to Bianchi, and that is back to 10th place in line here.
Yeah, it's a long way to go, and the thing to question now is how many laps can they go pushing without the 8 overheating?
That too, and you also have to think about it fuel mileage wise. Marshall Newton might not be too unhappy to lose the lead. I got my laps led. I'm not trying to lead the most laps. I'll sit here in second and get the better fuel mileage than the 07. 48 car is the only car I can imagine other than the 07 who's getting worse fuel mileage because he's trying to run the outside line. He's probably got foot to the floor, is taking the brunt of the air from the 07 and going into it. That outside lane is not good for fuel mileage as the leader, but second in line on the inside line, yeah, you're probably doing all right fuel-wise.
Yeah, and even better third, fourth, fifth back, where it's still nice tight draft, and you can go about 3/4 throttle. They are quite happy to ride right there.
Yeah, I would say so. Somebody like Kevin Nelson in that 09 car just kind of hanging back the 31 car who got some damage from that initial incident. He's doing a great job right now, kind of holding his own. He's about 6 cars deep on that inside line, and you can see the gap between these cars. He can catch those cars ahead of him without being full throttle. They'll probably bunch themselves up at some point ahead of him. And the 8 car pushed him to the lead, and the 48 took advantage as soon as he could, drops down. That leaves Parkman all alone on the outside line, and unlikely anyone will pick him up at this point. He can find himself a hole if it doesn't close up too quickly here. There it is in front of Dustin Matson now. He will slide in, so he'll fall back to about 5th place there now. But to the lead, the 48 of Smorl, he is now your biggest mover this race. And just like that, the 07 and the 76 working to get around him. That has really spread the field out. Leaders will go around him, drop down. 47 of the 8 car will try to get around him as well on the outside lane and maybe drop down. It looks like they're going to be able to do so, and they will. That was an interesting strategy, and it looks like the tandem drafting's kind of working here. That slow car on the outside, that is Norman King in the 28. He is now 5 laps down being shown. All right, do you like that move by the 07 and the 76? We're going to try to get Jesse back here. We got some technical difficulties, it sounds like, with his mic. Might be a good time to take a commercial break. We'll be right back. You won't miss a thing. The racing will still be in the top left corner as we go our equivalent of side by side.
Your horse, your friend, your companion. It's about trust and a bond built with care and hard work.
Georgina Bloomberg with
Competition brings out the best in both of us. Confidence, determination, and the sheer will to win. This is where we shine.
8 times it is for Georgina Bloomberg. She is through.
Mane and Tail have been my go-to products for as long as I can remember. Make them part of yours.
Hello, I'm Caboose.
And I'm Carbon.
And I'm Amp.
Welcome to our channel, The Smarter Morons. We have Death Scheduling, a comedy video series released monthly, acted out by us, and recorded on Halo.
From Hoosier to Hoser, suddenly you think you're some sort of badass reapers because you were killed by some f***ing moose in Canada. And our Twitch channel that mostly streams iRacing on a semi-regular schedule, and then uploads those videos later to our YouTube channel.
Heat pace.
Oh god, I'm in the air.
Caution, caution.
Good thing you kept it fast, Bear.
Do you need anything to drink or anything like that?
Safe fuel.
The road is closed. You'll be lining up behind the 23.
Now, we are just a small channel, but we are consistently working on new things to hopefully entertain you guys.
So feel free to follow us here on YouTube as well as our Twitch channel to see what's new and fresh.
And I'm Amp.
As you guys can see on screen, there goes the number 8 car, Parkman. He gets to go around the 07. We got 6-car breakaway up here. That is 6 cars under a blanket right now. First in the outside row is Parkman. On the inside row is Caleb Nelson, last week's winner. And as you can see by that shot right there, a couple of cars up here have some damage from that first initial multi-car accident here at Talladega, but they are still holding their own. Seemingly still have quite a bit of speed in all of those cars, damaged or not. They're beginning now to pull away from the second group of cars, even in this tandem like this. And that's not uncommon here, especially at Talladega. We had mentioned this this package. It's not always to your deficit in terms of speed to go and take that run to the outside rather than maybe bogging yourself down and holding back.
We were talking during the break, and I said, if I was up front here, I'd be like, let's just drive away from all these cars because, you know, they're all separated and spread out. Even if you're side by side, if you're pushing and going as fast as you can, you're going to drive away, and you're going to have to pit in 10 or 15 laps here. So it's going to be, you know, time to start making time on that.
Yeah, I'm a little surprised that they're not pushing a little bit harder up front. They're still kind of running 51.9, 51.2, and it's pretty even throughout the field now in terms of lap times. Outside line kind of fell apart right there. Inside line looks to prevail, but they can't really get that single file line. And once they start separating like this, as you can see, that second line of cars has now caught the first line of cars, and now there's no real breakaway. But I'll tell you what, the 07, the 76, the 13, those guys have been maybe the fastest cars or some of the fastest cars every single race in this league. Do you get up on the radio on a private and say, all right, push me, let's go, let's get out of here?
Yeah, I'd be talking to everybody in that front group and just let's leave these cars that are, you know, in the back and stuff, you know, because some of the cars in the front are even damaged from that incident. There's guys that they have clean cars in the back, trying to save them, try and drive away. And now we do have was it a 6 or 7 car breakaway up front. They're drafting much closer than those other cars.
Some updates for you. We talked about that one car that stayed out. That is Austin Cooper. He did not take any fuel there. The only issue for him now, though, is he's at the very back of this lead pack. He's currently sitting in 17th, and he has to pit. These other cars have 12 laps more fuel than he does, so he will have to pit alone and maybe get a caution if he does find himself a lap down. Updates on the 2 of Pennington. We saw that big impact on the 28. He is back on track, but shown 19 laps down, very slow and off the pace. And there's 6 laps down is Norman King. And here is your lead pack. So those cars, definitely a non-factor. Most of those heavy damaged cars, we have 3 cars that have retired from this race outright. But up front, the 07 is not retired outright. He is really pushing these cars up front. It is about 6 or 7 cars, as you mentioned, kind of really pushing each other hard. The 09, I'm not sure if it's his blinking connection issues that are kind of causing this breakaway, but there is definitely a separation between these kind of first group cars and second group cars, and it looks like there's a lot of stragglers in between them right now.
Yeah, it really just all comes down to the package. They separate and then they coalesce, and they just keep accordioning like that just as the run goes on, especially when they're in single file. We're talking about pit strategy now. I wonder if everybody's going to pit on the same lap. That'd be wild.
Well, they're going to have to figure something out. When you're in a straight line like this, I don't think people understand quite how difficult it truly is to coordinate when you're in a straight line like this. I feel like when you're in double file, it's a lot easier to kind of figure out what you want to do. All right, we're too wide. Let me think about how I want to go about doing this. Well, one thing I want to do is I want to be on the inside line when I pit. Okay, obviously, duh. But when you have one single line of cars, you'll see a car veer to the apron and you'll think, oh, okay, they're pitting, and then you'll go to veer to the apron. Well, he was just catching some air. And then suddenly you're getting run over from behind. It is not so obvious when you're in a straight line. It seems like there's some ambiguity there, and I'd be honest, if they're all kind of choosing to pit at the same time, I might take an extra lap here and play it safe.
Yeah, in this sort of situation, I like to pit on at least the second time by, if not the third, depending on how many cars you have with you, because you want to pit on the fastest lap. And it seems kind of strange, but depending on how the group enters, it can be slower or faster depending on how many cars are with you, to stay out another lap and then wait and see how they sort themselves out if they get to pit road clean even. Because in iRacing, if you enter pit road and the caution's out, you'll get penalized regardless.
Yeah, there's no real benefit to it, unfortunately. You can find yourself in a sticky situation that way, and you don't want to get yourself penalized, especially here, especially if it means you have to do a drive-through. If you ever get a final restart, final caution, that could be the caution that you had a penalty on, so it would be very damaging to one's race if that were to happen. But as I see it right now, the way these cars are going around, it's obvious that the 38 of Cooper will have to pit at some point, obviously. But the rest of these cars up front, I'm not sure when they have to pit. I'm not going to be... I can't really claim to know when they're going to try to. Obviously, you're going to want to make this on one more stop after this, so you don't want to pit too early.
I think they're going to try to pit around lap 50.
Lap 50 would make some sense, but it might put them in a situation where they're still going to have to pit one more time. And as you mentioned, a track like this, it comes down to you have to pit at the right time, and the right time is pitting on the fastest group of cars. I've been in situations where I thought I was with the fastest group of cars, and we were all kind of bunched together, and we were turning some fast times. Some other cars pit. We kept staying out. We pit 4 or 5 laps into it, and we found ourselves coming out of pit lane as the field was flying by us, meaning that we were losing lots of time by staying out. I've also been in situations where I pit with the entire pack, and I get out, and I find myself maybe in 10th or 11th place when it all cycles through, and I'm 17 seconds behind the leaders. You don't want to be in the wrong pack, but it's hard to know what is the wrong pack.
I know I definitely remember the good times when you hit the right pack and you find yourself seconds ahead of everyone. That's always a good feeling.
Oh, it's a great feeling when it happens. But how do you, Jesse, how do you know what pack is the right pack?
It just depends on what's going on in the race. Like for this one, I'd be talking to the guys up front if I was those guys, and I would stay out as long as possible. Like, let everybody behind you who's already kind of slower and is behind you, let them lose their time, and then just hammer away, like get your cars as hot as you can afford to, and then pit.
That may not be a bad strategy. Now, if you're one of the cars in the back, what's your position to be in? I mean, let's go back, try to find ourselves someone like the 95 of Steven Mioch. If you're, as we fondly call him, Caboose, who's kind of being the caboose of this field right now, keeping everyone in tow, do you pit with the lead pack? Do you try to maybe dive a little deeper into the pit lane and so you could stay with those fast cars, or do you not risk it and just try to pit with the cars that you're around right now?
Well, I think the best thing to do is, well, what I like to do as far as if I'm in the back is try and pit with the people up front by being really aggressive on pit entry and make up time that way. and you can get a big payoff from that, or it can go really bad for you. But with this kind of time and like with this kind of forward knowledge of what's going to be happening, I would start trying to fight from the back to pass a few cars. We saw that in the Xfinity race on Saturday at Talladega, and it was really successful for a couple guys, and then they wrecked. But that's besides the point.
It was really successful until they were in the wall. But that's not the point. It was really successful if they had not hit the wall.
Right. It's a good way to make up some time when everybody's riding by themselves to set up a pass, get a run in a good spot, and, nab a position, make up that time. And speaking of time, the 09 continues to lose it against the 48, and that gap continues to grow.
We're seeing the first car come into pit. That is the 38 of Austin Cooper. You mentioned he had not pit with the rest of the pack on that first caution. He had to pit there no matter what. And up front, the 13 car keeps thinking about trying to get around the 76 and the 07. I'm with you. If I'm in this group, maybe if I'm further towards the back, I'm contemplating finding a guy who's willing to work with me. Maybe I'm peeking my nose out to the right quarter panel of the guy ahead of me. I'm trying to get a run. I'm trying to pack my bumper to the car behind me and get a run from him. Show him that we can get the momentum and we can get to the outside of some of these cars. Right now, these guys are doing a great job of being somewhat separated, but really staying foot to the floor. They're having actually faster lap times now than they had about 20 laps ago. I know that's kind of hard to imagine, but they really are. I mean, when they were trying to get organized, they were running 52s. Now we're seeing a lot of 51s, 51.8, 51.7. So we're seeing these cars speed up because they're all kind of nicely spread out, and they're doing a great job of not really getting too close to each other. So it's going to be really, really hard to pass. I think you kind of lost that opportunity to pass when these cars were all, much more grouped up. As you can see, there's the 38 car coming out. Now, if I'm the 38, you gotta merge and you gotta catch this pack. Gotta stay with them. That'll give you the most time. Staying on that apron for a really long time. He is still on that apron. He is really costing himself time here on that back straightaway going into 3.
Yeah, they gave him space. They saw that bright orange and yellow car coming, and now he's definitely going to lose the draft.
A big mistake for that 38 car to kind of stay on that inside. You got to merge up. Even if they hadn't given him the space, you got to merge up. And these cars have to know that you're gonna merge up. They're gonna have to know it. And if they don't know it, they'll figure it out really fast. You never want to cause a wreck, but you have to you have to do what's good for you at the right time.
Right. These cars don't have lights, but if when you're coming on pit road, the blinker is on coming down the backstretch.
As we keep turning laps here, I think Matson's mostly just trying to find out what his car can do, what his car is really capable of. Keeps taking these little pot shots at the leader and then backing out of it. He's now going to back up to the 48 car. He kind of also jumped to the outside, which shows that 48 car is not done trying to lead laps in this race. Kind of suddenly have a few cars breaking up, but this might really backfire on the 13 of Matson. That 48 car quickly abandoned him, filled up that only hole that was there, and suddenly he's up against the wall all by himself, sliding way back.
I'm not sure what the goal of that was, unless he was trying to challenge himself.
He's going to really challenge himself because he's going to have to challenge. The challenge is drive through the field again. He'll fall back to at least Bianchi here. Not coming down yet. 37 car had a nice little gap there and still there if he wants it, but maybe he's having an overheating issue or from that damage, perhaps.
Bold strategy. Let's see how it plays out.
Yeah, right. Bold strategy there, Cotton. We'll see how it works itself through. Matson with a questionable decision, though. We'll have to see. Maybe if he finishes in the top 3, we'll get to know what happened here on lap 45 to 46. Up front.
There's even bigger separation now with those top 5.
13 car is done experimenting on the outside. He's going all the way to the back of the pack. His experiment came up with negatory. That was the wrong move, but it's been very positive for the first 5 cars. They are all grouped together. 09's got a big gap between them and a lot of disorganization in between. A lot of cars separated here, so... Up front, they're still pulling around some pretty fast times here. If you're watching us, drop us a comment. Let us know what you're thinking of this race, how we're doing in broadcasting, and feel free to ask us questions. Test our Talladega knowledge maybe a little bit.
It's October, so I believe Talladega is considered the most haunted track.
Oh yeah, built on an Indian burial ground. This one should be an easy one. Do you know the manufacturer of the first, what is now known as the NASCAR Cup Series race here?
It was like 67, I think. I know it was it was not a good race.
It was one of the most interesting races. Interesting in all the wrong ways, right? And mostly interesting in terms of lore. That was the race that the NASCAR Drivers Union came to a head and came to a quick demise. It's the race that we got to see pony cars in the Cup Series for the only time up until recently when we had Mustang come to the Cup Series. But it was a Dodge. I think it was 1970, right? And the 69, or I could have my years wrong here, but all I remember is that Richard Brickhouse was in the newest model, and he had lost the race to the older Dodge model. Go figure. And Dodge kind of nudged NASCAR and said, hey, make sure that our newest model actually won the race. So one driver won the race and one driver got the trophy, as is customary here at Talladega, as we saw this past weekend, right? We had the same situation this past weekend. One car won the race and one car got the trophy.
I think it was like 6th place, I think, won. I can't remember.
Speaking of cars winning and cars not getting the trophy for it, the 48 car was doing a great job staying up front, and suddenly he is not. He's stuck on the outside line. The 09 car got a run on him, and Smorrell in the 48, who had done a great job getting to the lead and staying up front, he has fallen way back. He'll slide in front of the 57. I'll tell you what, these guys in this league are a lot more respectful than I am. I have seen a lot of cars give a lot of space that I absolutely would not have done.
Oh yeah, I question a lot of these things. I've watched a few races this weekend, and I know when I race Carb Cup around the year, the second lane is riding the center line of that first dotted line off the bottom, not riding in the middle of those two lines, the dashed lines. A lot of side drafting is what I'm used to. I do a lot of squeezing on people that way. I'm pretty aggressive at the super speedways. But yeah, these guys are just past halfway. So we'll see what happens. There's more cars at the back of the pack now than at the front.
When I like to race here, my rule is if I'm leading the outside line, which is normally the middle line because there's no true outside line here, I'll if it's more than 10 laps to go, I'll usually have my left side tires just perfectly hug those dotted white lines through the corner, and the outside dotted white lines with my right tires on the straightaway, just to give plenty of space to be very predictable. Towards the end of the race, no. The center of my car is going straight down the center of those bottom white lines. The inside line better be careful, because I am literally right on their door the whole time.
Fun fact, you can fit 2 cars under that dashed line, so there's plenty of space.
Well, earlier, our first caution, they tried to fit 3.
Yeah, that's when you're starting to push it, especially with the tri-oval, the weirdness of that extra lane, taking that into account. Definitely a lot of incidents happen there.
Now, I'm curious, maybe the 48, remember how the 48 and the 13 were running the outside line a lot? Do you think that maybe them going to the back was kind of them saying, I'm running out of gas, I know when everyone's saying they want to pit, I'm not going to be able to pit when everyone says they're going to pit?
Yeah, that's a good point. I said lap 50, we're at 53 now. Oh, and here we have cars pitting. 07, 76, the 48's there, and one car misses the commitment cone.
Oh, the 33 just totally missed the commitment cone there. Top 3 cars coming into pit. And that was the 07, 76, and 48 are all coming in here. So only 3 cars pitting. We'll see. We talked about what's better. Those 3 cars have maybe been the fastest cars this race, but only 3 of them. I'm not sure. If I'm still on the racetrack, I'm not pitting here. I'm saying, all right, guys, we're in a line. Those are the fastest cars this whole race. Let's keep going in a straight line, full speed, because I think this whole pack in this long straight line should be able to be faster than those 3 cars over a period of 2 or 3 laps, for sure.
No doubt. Plus, it hasn't seemed to matter, but they do have a little bit of damage, both of them. And they're going to have to catch each other here. They're a bit strung out on pit exit. So if I'm still in that pack, depending on how far they can go, again, I'd stay out as long as I could.
Oh, you're right, Marshall Newton, very disconnected from all of these cars, so not a very good job at all of these 3 cars did. The 48, who, remember, was in the back of the pack, he's actually the closest to the 07. And here comes the lead group. They are catching him, and they'll likely catch him here by the trial with how spread out those cars are. We're in the distance camera now, so excuse me, we want to see these cars pit. That is Herzog, your leader. Parkman directly behind him is in second. Let's see if they come in here. There they go. There's the 8 car. Herzog's going to come in as well. Some other cars making a late decision to stay on the track. That got a little dicey there for just a moment. That was Kevin Nelson who stays out, so he will come around and lead this lap. The 33 car pits as well. So the 33 pit last time by. He's the one who missed the commitment cone and lost a lot of time that way. And now Kevin Nelson, he will get his first laps led in this race. He's got Sykes right on his tail, and maybe a little bit of a moment for that 29 car. He got a big shove from the 57. All these cars still racing together. It looks like we have, I'm counting 8 cars still in this big pack together.
That's what I'm seeing. They're pushing pretty hard too. Is anybody going to pit here? The 09 does. Looks like he's going to be by himself.
He's going to be alone. Wow. You don't want to pit alone, that is for sure. But you know what? He'll likely still come out in front of those other 3 cars. They'll likely pick him up as they approach him. Now we have 7 cars left, and I'm trying to follow the lap times, but I can't get a gauge. I'm showing that this lead group is pretty even, actually, with the 07 and the 13 car, some of those other cars that pit on the first group of cars together. And there they go. They're getting around Herzog. And the 47, he'll merge up as they go into the corner there. I'm showing Herzog now 1 lap down in 15th, so he is already pit. And more cars coming now.
Oh, that was
a big moment.
29 made a late call.
Corey's going to stay out. Oh, do they get together? They got really close. A lot of cars were locking up. So 6 more cars will come in. They were running pretty even lap times to the rest of this group. It's fastest laps now being run by this little group of cars. That is the 76 who caught. So the 76 catches his 3 cars from before. He's been running the fastest times of anybody. So these 3 cars, though they were disconnected, once they got connected to each other, are now running the fastest times that we've basically seen in this race. So now it's going to get really interesting. They have a second group of cars right behind them. That's the 8, the 31, and the 13. The 09, I mentioned how he had pit by himself. He'd come out right around with those other cars because he had a good lap. He did, but not maybe not enough to stay in the pack. But here comes that second group exiting pit lane. It is led by Sykes. And it looks like it should be a pretty easy job for this second lane to pass him here. Oh, a little bit of a moment there. Bianchi was really trying to push that 0-4 to get him up to speed as quick as possible. These cars were all getting up to speed very quickly, and in some weird twist of fate, everyone's going to be all together here. Well, that worked out in a very bizarre way for basically everyone except for now Kevin Nelson stuck to the outside. Unless he can get around that 0-4. Oh, he got close. He thought about it. That 0-9 definitely thought about it. The 44 Corey, he's exiting pit lane. He is all alone. That lap lead will be costly for the 44 car now.
Yeah, I think he was stuck to the outside too far on that when the rest of the pack came in. And that kind of left him with the lapped car to draft around. So he didn't have the slowest lap, but yeah, he's definitely lost the pack now.
Alright, so cars involved in this lead pack. I'm going back to, it looks like it is the 95 Amioke, who's 14th. So 14 cars. It'll actually be 13 cars because we're still counting the 44, who is shown on your standings in 5th. This time around, he'll cycle down to 14th. So it'll be 13 cars a part of this lead pack. So 13 cars did the pit stop right in one way or the other. And how about the 09 car? I just kind of forgot about what was happening in the lead. He goes and takes it right back. So Kevin Nelson somehow finds himself back up to the lead. I think he's about to lose that lead as he disappears on track. That is so dangerous when you're blinking like that. Big shove from the outside line now. And Dustin Matson, your Daytona 500 winner, he is looking to try to lead himself his first laps of the day today. It has been a carousel of leaders.
Yeah, I hope you have the numbers on that, because I sure don't. I'm surprised they pushed the 09 to the front after watching him blink for so many laps.
Well, I think the 13 kind of saw him. He saw a car ahead of him and said, all right, I'll push him to the front. As soon as he dove down, I'm sure the 13 had a big grin on his face that the blinking car went to the bottom lane, because it looks like they're kind of doing a cycle where the leader goes to the inside, and then the next car on the outside gets the lead, and then he'll drop down. They're going around. That's the 33 car. We saw him. He's the one who missed the pit entrance. He had to lock it up and then miss pit entrance. He's got to merge up here. Oh, another car that's struggling to merge, and he's going to lose the pack because of it.
Sometimes everything's pavement back there, so everybody can go wherever they need. Sometimes you just gotta stay on the apron, just slowly cross that line, and let them just take that room and assert your space.
I'll tell you what, for a guy who's blinking, the 09 car is really holding his own. He technically takes back the lead there. He continues to lead the laps now. 13 did get a lap lead. And by the way, I don't have the numbers on it. I am literally just trying to go by memory on who I think I called out as the leader at some point in this race. And I think at some point I called out basically every single car at this point. Another car they're looking to catch is, I'm showing Austin Cooper. Remember, Cooper was the one who had to pit separate from everyone, completely separate from everyone. He will likely go a lap down this time by...
Looks like another car that's lost the draft was the 47 of Herzog. Did you see what happened to him?
I'm not sure. I think Herzog was one of those cars that pit all alone. Maybe missed his pit box or had a miscue on pit lane. And there's the 33 car, so he's now 2 laps down as he lost the draft again. So I'm showing 15 cars on the lead lap now as they work their way around the 38. But I'm also showing only 13 cars a part of this lead pack right now, with Caboose, who, again, we lovingly call him that, acting absolutely as the caboose of this pack right now.
Yeah, we dropped a few cars out of the pack. Everybody's much tighter now. The 13 cars, they're within 1.2 seconds. They were strung out to 2.5 seconds before the pit stops.
Now with 37 to go, basically everyone should be able to make it on one more stop. The question is exactly when will they come in. Up front, 3 wide, at least for a moment, the 09 car went to go block the 13's run. Didn't work out for him. He will now drop quite a few positions as he gets stuck to the outside line, and Dustin Matson, with help from Parkman in the 8, back to the lead. I'll tell you what, that 8 car Parkman, it gets credit for pushing the most cars till their first laps led today. I don't know if that's a stat that you want to necessarily cheer about, because you always want to be the car that's getting pushed to the lead, but if I was out there, I definitely, if I saw the 8 car on the outside line, I'd go pick him up in an instant. Because he seems to be fast, he seems to be coordinated, he hasn't wrecked anyone yet. And Caleb Nelson has been maybe the best at controlling this race from the inside.
If you're a good pusher, then you can push somebody to the front and do exactly what the 13 did there and drop down, and then hopefully the guy behind you is a good enough pusher to push you to the front. We know that 76 definitely is.
Marshall Newton's been fast today. He's had some laps led. Right now, Matson dropped down in front of Caleb Nelson, but all alone, 2 cars trying to make it work, and yes, Parkman will lead that lap in the number 8 car. Let's see if he abandons Marshall, and he does. You never want to be the last. You never want to be the last car on the outside, and it looks like it won't be for long.
Maybe even the 48 in tow? No?
He thought about it, but he wanted to go pick up that next car ahead of him, maybe. The outside lane is weird. If you get a run and you go up there, it's almost for sure it'll work, and you'll make some ground up, at least for a moment. But if you don't go up there with a run, it's almost a certain that you'll suddenly drop like a rock when you go out there. That 07 had the run. The 76 was losing the run, kind of equaled out, and right now they're holding tow side by side through the tri-oval. And at the line, it looks like Marshall Newton will lead that lap. So does he abandon the 07 car, do you think?
07? No, I wouldn't. I would not, because car that fast, I would want behind me, not only as a pusher, but also because that's one more car that could win the race that you don't have to worry about.
One car we talked a little bit about today, Levi Opitz in the 31 car. He's having himself a solid race right now, currently shown in 6th. Has been kind of quiet after he got involved in that wreck. You can still see the damage on the nose of that car. As we have another battle for the lead, Matson tried to go to the outside line. Marshall Newton thought about dumping him. That kind of slows the outside line up. They're all bunched together, but Matson will take back the lead. If I'm the 76, you at least could see that he thought about getting underneath that 13 car as soon as he had the chance.
A little bit of a separation between the 2 packs now. I think the 31 is going to make sure the 09 doesn't fall back there, because to a certain degree, you want more cars in that pack. It's easier to pass. It gives you more options. You have the risk of losing positions, of course, but if there's more cars there, you can get more help, and you definitely don't want to be the last car on a line. It's really hard to stay with a group there because you have so much air on your rear spoiler.
Yeah, and slowly dump cars off, and it's weird how it's like there's a certain number of cars that will never be an issue, and you'll never lose extra cars at the tail of it, but I don't exactly know what that number is, and you don't want to find out by being the last car that gets lost in that first group. But right now, it's about a 6-car breakaway. So you can see the 09 blinking back there some more. Pretty decent separation now, about 0.6 of a second between those first 2 groups last time by.
That amount starts to get worrisome, especially if you continue to lose time. That 09, you mentioned it earlier, his blinking does interrupt the draft. If that car is not pictured on the track, it is not cutting the air. So the car with the most air on its nose then becomes the car behind him until he returns. That's why there's always such a large gap there. That's also why I was surprised that he was able to be pushed to the front as well as he was. I think the car has to be pushed to make up time. But it definitely loses time if it's just by itself.
Levi Opitz, for a moment there, kind of started to fall off, as you had mentioned, being the last car in that first group. It doesn't seem like he's able to get to that 48's bumper. The second group now kind of starting to file back in. That first group, 6 cars were basically on top of each other, and that second group looked like they were able to kind of catch that wind, and that 09 didn't blink for a whole lap, and suddenly we have 2 continuous strings of cars once again. But how about the race for that 76 car? This has probably been his best performance, whatever the results. Overall race has probably been his best performance so far today.
No doubt, he's now competing for most laps led with everybody calm up front. He very well could be with 29 or 30 to go here. He's definitely in a spot he wants to be in.
Now, something to pay attention to, they pit on lap 12. And I know that there were some caution laps in there that obviously played a little bit of a role. But they went about 40, it looks like it's about 41 to 44 laps without pitting again. Doing the math here, there is a chance that the second group of cars can likely make it the distance without having to pit again, while the first group of cars, the 31 being the last car in this situation, may have to pit for a splash of fuel. How does that change how you drive this car right now? Do you start thinking fuel gain? Because the 76, for example, pit on lap 53. If I'm the 76 car and I'm not sure I'm going to be able to make it to the end without having to pit, and I'm not sure what the other cars are doing, maybe I don't want to be the car with the most laps led. Maybe I want to drop back and kind of hang out here. I don't know if you ever had to try to save fuel at a track like this. It is not an easy thing to do.
No, it's not easy, but it very much can be done, and I definitely don't mind some fuel mileage races. They're much more fun to do than to watch most of the time. But out front, he is not fuel racing at all. I would hazard to guess the 07 who pitted with him is not either. You don't get that fast without some help. Who was the other car? The 48?
Yeah, the 48 of Smorl on lap 53. He came in. He's a part of this first group as well. The second group continues to have the situation where the 09 backs up to them. And I wonder if it's because Sykes in the 04, currently sitting in 8th, he is the first of the group of cars that pit on lap 57 or later. One car in that group pit on lap 58. So the rest of those cars, I'm not sure if they're going to be able to make it on fuel, but I think they're doing a decent enough job trying to conserve while staying with this group of cars, kind of just sitting and waiting. And if there is a situation where a group of cars will have to pit and the other group doesn't, Sykes is basically in the catbird seat to maybe steal a win here today.
Yeah, I wonder, just thinking about the numbers, I wonder if the first group thought about splitting their run in half and maybe didn't consider the those caution laps. Obviously, we can't see their fuel gauges, but yeah, like our estimates were 35 to 38 laps on fuel, and they're trying to go 47. That's a stretch.
Well, my guess was based on what I was doing in the Cup car, but these cars are very different. Less downforce, less drag on these cars. And I believe less horsepower as well when it comes to the plate races, so.
Yeah, I was thinking about the Cup cars as well. I can't remember what they were talking about on Saturday with the Xfinity cars. as far as a run goes. I don't think they ever got a long enough run in. But yeah, now we got a lap car here and a little separation up front. That's kind of interesting. But yeah, I think that second pack is probably saving fuel, because obviously the front is. But I don't know, if 3 laps, if that second group is also trying to save fuel, that's really concerning for the front group.
Yeah, 3 laps is a long time here. That's a lot of time. That's a lot of space here. As you can see, the 47, that's Herzog. He's trying to file in line here, trying to find a hole that's not really there. 09 starting to get a run on that 31. He's kind of losing his opportunity to fall into that line right behind the 31. Second group of cars has now caught him. And Herzog all alone on the outside. He's now 1 lap down. But the good news for him is as long as he can stay in front of the 38 car, who's currently the last car in this pack, he will be the lucky dog. If we were to have a caution, there is one more car that's not in this group that is still on the racetrack on the lead lap, and that is the 44 of Aaron Corey. We talked about how he kind of got stuck to the outside, missed his opportunity to pit, had to pit all alone, and only had a lap car to draft with. Suddenly he dropped pretty considerably.
They're going to catch him in the next lap for sure.
Herzog doing a good job. He's obviously has an undamaged race car, or mostly undamaged race car. He's just able to kind of side draft these cars now that he's in this group. If you're wondering why he was so slow all alone, but why he's able to get to these cars, it's because he's kind of side drafting them. He's actually slowing them down when he's out there alongside of them, getting so close to their door. And again, we mentioned the whole fuel saving thing. Herzog, obviously being a lap down, he doesn't really care for the fuel saving thing. His goal is very much get a caution, get back on the lead lap, have a chance to win this thing.
He should get Corey on the radio here and link up and just push to the front so they're just both on the lead lap.
Oh, not a bad idea. Looks like Corey's staying way to the outside, though, playing the courtesy strategy. If I'm Herzog, just get on his bumper, shove him, man. You got to get this guy down the straightaway here. Because everyone's on fuel strategy suddenly, and you guys are a lap down. I'm on team, forget about it. But Herzog will fly by the 44, and they will put him a lap down. That'll put Aaron Corey back to, I'm showing him now back in 15th, and Herzog will move up to 14th. But again, 1 lap down doesn't really mean a whole lot.
Corey should be able to drop him behind Ziegler there. Or the 38 might pass him as well.
Yeah. Get us out to the tail end of this lead pack. Well, if everyone pits, right, you would assume if caution comes out, everyone pits, at least for fuel, just to not have to worry about it, because we get green-white checkered. Suddenly, no one's able to make it. No one would be safe at all. So if I'm on a lap down here, caution comes out, I probably can just get a wave around no matter what, and just hope that I don't need to have extra fuel for a green-white checker 2 or 3.
Yeah, green-white checkers are something else. These races always get more intense at the end in the last 10 laps. And does this league only have 1 green-white checker, or are there several?
I think there's 3.
Okay.
We got the 3 at Darlington.
Oh, that's right. How could I forget? But yeah, we'll find out here, and looks like they're gonna maybe get the 33 again. Herzog kind of trying to sniff a draft off him, but they're gonna pass him as well. Pack is separated at the 09 again by about another 0.6.
Yeah, and looks like it's growing here. If I'm the 47, I appreciate his effort, but there's a big gap there. That gap might shrink at any point. But I understand his reasoning here. I just want to get to the closest to the front as I can get before I settle in. Maybe I'll get myself pushed back ahead of the leader and maintain myself at the very, very tail end of the lead lap. If you're able to do that, you get a caution at the right time. I've seen it happen before. It's not impossible. So Looks like he'll slide. The 31 car will concede and just kind of let him slide ahead of him so they stay all together here. So this may boost that first group, but as you can see, the second group is suddenly hot on their trail. It just seems like the second group kind of holds back, and then suddenly they go, oh yeah, that's right, we're in a race here, and then they kind of pick it up again.
Yeah, it's really interesting to watch. Like, the cars separate and then they come together, and then all that energy builds up in the pack, and it moves forward and it pushes everybody into the pack ahead of them. And then they separate again because they're trying to save fuel. So it's really interesting to watch that keep happening.
Now, if I'm, I'm always on team aggressive. So if I'm the 09 car, I know I'm having blinking issues, but maybe when I start getting that run from the 04, do you take it to the outside line when you catch that lead pack? I mean, obviously you caught them from quite a distance back.
Yeah, I mean, he was pushed to the front, so we know that car still has a lot of speed in it. Even though it's, the blinking, essentially it's down a cylinder from time to time. But it does have speed as long as it's getting pushed. I don't know how much power he has to push, because when you lose that, when somebody blinks and you lose their push, you're essentially just by yourself then.
Which is exactly why it's so dangerous here, because if you lose your push when you blink, the guy behind you, he's not losing his push if he has a single car behind him. And next thing you know, you're catching a guy by 2 or 3 miles per hour, and that just a little bit of speed differential could be a big deal when you reappear inside of somebody's bumper.
Driver's talking about fuel on the radio. Matson just said that he's short.
Oh. And Matson pit on lap 55, which is 2 laps after the leader. So I'm going to say, bold prediction, no matter what, these leaders are doomed to be short. And some cars are pitting here. Wow, the back group, we thought maybe they were trying to save fuel. They're going to come into pit with 18 laps to go.
Don't expect they'd take tires.
That's the 57 of Ziegler, the 95 of Mioch, and the 13 of Robinson. They were at the tail end of that group there. And the 33 as well. He'll slowly slide in. He's joined by great timing for the 38 car. He's now in pit lane as well. So remember, he's off cycle from these guys, so he'll be able to join with this group of cars there maybe and take off. But that, I hate that strategy, quite frankly. Because I always want to take this thing into its bitterest of ends, but caution comes out. Maybe Ziegler finds himself as the leader because he already pit.
Matson pits with one more car.
Oh, what a big moment with Levi Alpitz. I'm not showing any other cars coming in with those two, so everyone said, are you short? Are you going to be short? I'm not really sure. And then suddenly a couple of cars start pitting in. Man, you don't want to pit in with that few cars, though. We'll see, here comes the leaders. They're going to come around to lap these cars, these lap cars now. They have to swerve up. They have to swerve down. Would be a very bad sign for some of those lap cars if the leaders were able to catch them. Because you lose about, I'd say about 3/4, a little bit more than 3/4 of a lap here. You go about 7/8 of a lap down if you're in the first group together. So if you get caught by those other cars, you're not really going to catch them when they come out of the pit lane. You'll likely be at the very tail end of those cars if you even get back to that draft. So if I'm the leaders, I kind of like this. I'm staying out at least until I run out of fuel here, right?
Oh yeah, at this point, with considering who has pitted already, you want to stay out, push, and try to build the gap as much as you can. Just come in for a splash. And you can see the top 4 are very tight together.
Yeah, top 4 have a huge gap on them. The second group of cars, I really think the 04 car is playing the I can make it on fuel game because he's got a couple of cars around him that are also on that strategy. I think you have quite a few cars around him that are also on team. I think I can make it on fuel to the end here. I see that there's Herzog trying to get to the outside of some of these cars, kind of side drafting them. He's not really helping them. but he's also trying to remember, he's trying to stay on the lucky dog spot. As of right now, he would be the lucky dog, and believe it or not, he actually just ran the fastest lap of anyone in this race at a 50.694, 1 lap down on very old tires. He's likely short as well, the 47 is, on fuel. But he wants to stay ahead of the 44 car if he can. Hey, more power to him. And with these cars saving fuel, I like the idea of just going around him. I mean, what's the harm in that?
I'm watching this gap from the leaders to the leaders that pitted, and it is growing. The top 4 are really pushing hard, trying to build that gap. I'm not sure what Ziegler's group is looking like, but they are not pushing as hard as the leaders are right now.
Well, believe it or not, Matson, Opitz, and those are the only 2 cars that I'm seeing together there. There's quite a few other cars with them that are actually running slower. I'm going to go to them now. Those cars actually ran faster than the leaders, but they just caught the second group of cars. So Opitz and Matson, by just themselves, were actually faster than your front 4 cars were together. But that was obviously catching the draft to the 57, 95, and 37, who are directly ahead of them, who pit the lap before. And there is your group. So let's see here. This time by, this will be a better comparison. 51.4, and I'm showing 51.3. So Ziegler, Mioch, and Robinson are actually running faster than your top 4 is right now, lap after lap. But here's the other thing that you have to think about. The front cars have to take less fuel right now. If they were to come in at the very end of this, take gas only, they'll only need, what, a gallon, 2 gallons?
Yeah, it won't be very much. I'd definitely get more than 1 gallon, but it won't be very much at all.
So they'll take a sip or a gulp of fuel. The second group, as you mentioned, they're really playing the I want to save fuel strategy game here. That 09 car, I think he's got just 1 more lap than these rest of these cars. I think if I was him, maybe I'd pit because I was kind of the leader of the cars that had taken pit late. But man, that second group of cars that had pit there, because we're going to go find them again.
6 seconds. 6.5 seconds to that second group.
The group that's 40 seconds back right now, these are the cars that I'm watching, because if no one can make it on fuel, these cars right here will decide the race among themselves, and right now they are astronomically faster than the cars ahead of them. About 2 or 3 tenths of a second faster a lap than your leaders. As you can see, there they are right there. That's Marshall Newton, currently your leader. We're going to come around to 10 laps to go on our scheduled 100 lap distance. But
how many laps was that race on Sunday? 202?
I think it was 200 even.
Nice. So we're exactly half of what they did on Sunday. Usually be like, what, 90, 94? That sounds about right.
It would. Normally, 94 would be half the scheduled distance. Scheduled being the key term there. 9 seconds back is the second group. So, talk about saving fuel. The second group is definitely on fuel saving mode. They want to make it to the end of this thing without having
They're
to pit.
pitting! The leaders are pitting!
Oh, there they all come in together. They're losing a lot of time, but they'll have to take less fuel. So now this gets really interesting, because there's a group of cars. Here they come this time by. And by the way, Herzog, if a caution comes out within the next couple of seconds here, he's going to be really upset. But if the caution were to come out right now, he's going to be a happy camper. He's back on the lead lap. So things work out, or things could work out for the 47. Don't count him out just yet. 09 blinks right there. These cars are all on fuel sipping mode. They're just trying to save as much fuel as humanly possible. But the race could be among them. It could be among the second group. Here
this
they
is the
come.
kind of exciting fuel mileage race. When you don't know which strategy's gonna work out.
All right, here comes. This is the first group that pit. I'm watching Steven Mioka in the 95. He's currently sitting 9th place. There's the 48 and company. So there they are. I think these cars are going to do... These leaders took just enough fuel. They had a great pit stop. They really did. And oh, look at that move by Caleb Nelson. He's going to get through the gears faster than the 8 car and get around. And that's risking their ability to stay ahead of that 95 team group. But these guys want to fight for it themselves. They're going to work their way around the 48 of Smorrel. Oh my goodness. Pitting that early for the 95 and the 57. These guys were the guys that pit on lap 57. But they wanted to stop as early as possible on that last cycle there. They're quite a distance now behind. I'm showing them 5 seconds behind the 876 and 07. So it's confusing enough as it is, but here's the lead pack. This is actually your leaders right here.
Jeffrey Sykes just passed the 09 in the big-ass fans machine to take the lead down the backstretch.
That is your pole sitter, Jeffrey Sykes. He's led quite a few laps here tonight. He's trying to get the job done. And the best part is Herzog is more than happy to lead this band of cars, trying to save as much fuel as humanly possible. Because he's just full throttling down. These guys behind him are just kind of sitting in their draft. They're all happy with this change. But remember, Herzog, he's likely going to have to pit as well. He pit on lap 55. So I'm not sure when he's going to run out of fuel, but he's just, crossing his fingers and his toes. Get a caution right now, please. Get me back in this race. Otherwise, he's doomed to finish back in about 15th to 16th.
Yeah, it just keeps getting more interesting up front. The 38 now is trying to make up some time. He wants to get to the front of this pack and get his lap back now.
Oh, the 09, as you can see, very, very slow. He has one less lap of fuel than the rest of the cars that he was around, and he was also leading that group. He is now 4 seconds behind the leader and about 16 seconds ahead of the cars behind him. And there they are, the 07, the 76, and the 8 car. They are doing everything they can to get back to this lead group. And here's the second group right behind them, running 51.2s. They're still gaining on the 07, 76, and the 8 car. But it won't be enough. They're about 4.5 seconds back from them.
Herzog is
really
pitting.
pushing it.
The leaders have lost their draft pick, as it were.
And now, Sykes, oh man, with 4 laps to go in our scheduled distance, Sykes is either in the catbird seat, 5 laps to go in our scheduled distance. He's either in the catbird seat or in the wrong place, or the right place at the wrong time, because now he's got to lead this group. If you're in this group, man, a guy like Antonio Bianchi, how about Newbigging? We haven't even mentioned him since qualifying today. He's been so quiet on the racetrack. Did a great job avoiding that first incident. He's just kind of sitting there. It is 3 cars versus the world right now.
Interesting choice going to the high lane. I'm pretty sure we saw Chase Elliott lose a Daytona 500 doing that a few years ago.
Oh my goodness, you just don't know what to do, where to go. You want to stay in the draft and just sip fuel. The 04 car is kind of on team. Just go around me. Yeah, it's fine. You can just go around me. 4 laps to go. Maybe you let the 38 car by, right? The 38 car, he's got nothing to lose here, right?
Really wants to get by right now. So that was a 44, though. I don't know why the 44 doesn't push the 47. Then again, I think they're about to run out of gas, too.
Well, I
think the 44 pitted last. He's the last car that pitted.
Yeah, he pitted on lap 58, so he could probably sip it to the end. If these other cars ahead of him can, I would assume the 44 can. The 38 car, though, he can kind of just go back out there. Update, Kevin Nelson, pit all alone. He's now exiting pit lane. Oh, there he is, as of course he blinks as I go try to find him. But he crosses the line. He's now 41 seconds behind the leader, so he is going to be all alone. Likely will finish back in 13th to 14th. And there goes your lead group. 3 laps to go. Again, the question is, can they make it on fuel? Man, this has been something else today. It's been very exciting to watch. And this second group right here, or sorry, this is the third group, currently running in 7th is Stephen Mioch. He is about 3.2 seconds behind the first group of cars that, I guess the second group of cars from the lead. It's hard to track. There's just cars scattered everywhere throughout the entire racetrack right now.
Yeah, there's 3 distinct groups. There's the leaders, there's the 07 and 76 that pitted together, and then there's the third group that was the first group to pit with 16 laps to go.
So if you guys aren't confused enough yet, there are just 3 groups that are just kind of hanging out. How about the 44 car? He's really on team sipping fuel. He's really just kind of sitting back there. He's got 1 lap better of fuel than the rest of these cars, but he also was alone. And when you're alone, you get worse fuel mileage. So I think he's kind of playing it as, caution comes out, I'll get the lucky dog. But worst case scenario, I guess I'll finish 14th or something. I just have to finish the race, for sure.
Don't have a lot of time for a caution to come out now. Half a lap away from the white flag.
That second group not able to quite get the draft of the middle group, rather. And they'll likely be unable to pass them. They'll start jockeying around for positions as they come around to get the white flag. Who is it gonna be? Who's gonna run out of fuel? Sykes? Did he save enough as he leads this group? We have to remember the 09 was blinking, meaning that Sykes was getting the brunt of that air at times.
Here they go.
Oh, this 51 car is right on his bumper. If Sykes runs out of fuel right now, that would be a bad time for it for Bianchi. 29 car is thinking about it. I would not want to sit behind the 04 car. He's probably got the worst fuel situation than the rest of them. But how about Austin Cooper? He's going to try to decide the winner of this race. He's going to get behind the number 29 car. Oh, this has got to be stressful for these leaders.
No dive bomb to blow the line.
Oh, the
29 tries
car.
to make another move. They're going to have the fuel.
They're going to have the fuel. The 04
No, he doesn't.
runs. Oh.
He ran out of gas.
Oh, he buffered just long enough, and Sykes is going to get the win. Sykes ran out of fuel. He just barely was sipping fuel at the end there, and Bianchi nailed him. Oh my goodness, what a great race though by these cars to be able to maintain the way they did. The top 3, what a great job. Back to 4th place. Here's that second group coming around. Stephen Mioch, he'll finish in 9th. He was kind of the leader of that second group. What a bizarre ending to that race. And the 04 car, there he is. He's kind of putzing around. I don't think he's going to make it back for his victory celebration.
Nah, he's definitely dry. I heard the engine cut out right in front of the camera, and then he got nailed.
Just, if that happened at any other time in that lap, in that run, Sykes absolutely would have been done for. The winner likely would have been the 29 car because, as I mentioned, Bianchi was right on the 04. I said, I don't know if I'd want to be on the 04. Maybe I'd want to slide behind the 29 and make it versus him and I, because I thought he was going to run out, and I was right, but Sykes ran out at just the right time.
Yeah, that was he could not have saved enough more fuel. Like, that went perfectly.
You have to think, like, if Herzog had pit 1 lap earlier, he wouldn't have made it to the end. If he had stayed in the gas for 1 second longer, at any point pushing the 09 car, he wouldn't have made it to the end. He would not have won this race. It really worked out exactly perfectly. That is an excellent job right there to get the win. I think that's his first win of the year, and he's going to win this thing from the pole today. Even more impressive. Bianchi has his best finish of the year. Newbegin, I believe, that is also his best finish of the year, along with Marshall Newton, who came across 4th, even though he had to pit. Led the most laps today to the 76, but did not play the fuel strategy game the way the 04 did. Let's try to get your race winner in here with us. There you go, Sykes. Can you hear us?
Yeah, go ahead.
All right. Sorry about dropping you there. I was trying to get you into our booth there. All right. Well, first of all, congratulations on the win. Second of all, how did you know exactly how much fuel you had?
We was just a guessing game, really. We saved both full fuel runs, run it as long as we could run it, and the thing started sputtering coming through the trial. And if it hadn't been for my teammate Antonio behind me who gave me a nudge, I probably wouldn't have made it.
When we were watching you, I was saying, I don't know if I'd want to be the 51 directly behind the 04. I didn't know if you were going to make it, you having been behind the 09 who was blinking there quite a bit. I figured that you would kind of be in a situation where maybe you'd run out of fuel before the rest of them. I was right, but you did it at a really, really great time. Had you had done it at any other point in that run, you definitely wouldn't have won the race, but you played that strategy perfectly. Did you think that this thing was going to run from the finish after lap 14 crash?
Be honest with you, no. I don't think I've ever been involved in a plate track race that only had one yellow. I was actually kind of hoping it would the first fuel run and then maybe get a yellow during the second. That way he wouldn't have to pit. You know, we could save enough fuel under yellow to make it. But we were actually about a lap to the good until Kevin pitted. And man, when he pitted and it put me out front, my fuel mileage dropped like a rock.
Jess, you have any questions for our race winner here tonight?
Not too much. That was a pretty big ass win. Do you want to shout out anybody?
Yeah, I'd like to give a big shout out to my teammates for working with me the whole race. We usually don't have plans to work together. If it happens, it happens, and it just so that it happened this race for us. So big shout out to Antonio. He was my wingman the whole race.
Jeffrey, looking at how this race kind of played out, that first incident, did you feel like after that first incident you kind of wanted to just sit back and relax? Or, I mean, you said you saved that entire first run. Did you anticipate that it could work out for you, or did you just kind of you got lucky on it at the end there?
Well, no. Usually my strategy for plate races is, of course, I like to lead a lap and get bonus points for that. But once I do that, I just assume is drop back a little. I like staying with the lead pack, but I like to be back off of them just a little. And, I like to save my car until 10 to go. I just don't see no benefit in pushing and shoving and beating and banging when you're in a 100-lap race on lap 5. So I like to save my equipment until about 10 to go with these plate tracks.
Well, it was an admirable job today. Again, congratulations. Winning this race from the pole was definitely not easy, and you did a great job out there. And we're going to get your team in here. We're going to keep you in here. We're going to grab Bianchi if we can. If I can find my mouse. Antonio, you got a read on us?
Yeah.
All right, man. You came up exactly 0.02 of a second short. What was the difference out there? What did you need to get the win?
Well, I'm gonna be honest with you. I wasn't actually shooting for a win. I was just trying to get me and Jeff both across the line because I knew we were short in fuel, and he made the sacrifice of having to lead there at the end. I was tempted to swap with him, but if I didn't, or if I did, I don't know if he would have made it. So honestly, I'm happy with what happened. It would have been cool to get that win because it's not necessarily winning you're in anymore, but those points would have made a difference for sure. But you know what? I'm happy. We both finished well, and that's all that matters to me, man. That was a good race. It was fun.
When you got to that end there, when he sputtered, did you have any warning that he was going to sputter out of fuel there going through the tri-oval?
Well, over the radio, it was pretty loud. You know, he was yelling. He's like, I think I'm going to sputter. I think I'm going to sputter. I'm like, I don't care. I'm going to push you. And then he sputtered, and that's what sent me up, unfortunately, into Douglas. So I apologize for that for him. But I literally hit him, and that's what shot me up the track. But if I didn't hit him, I don't think we would have got 1 and 2. So I don't know. It's kind of a win-win, I guess. Or not really a win-win, but it was like a, I don't know, a compromise, I guess. So it kind of worked out.
Well, it was your best finish of the year, both of you, obviously, with Sykes getting your first win of the year and Bianchi with you getting your second place. This is a best finish for both of you guys. Points-wise, are you starting to look at that chase a little bit? You starting to think about playoffs here?
Yeah, no, for sure. My goal in this race was to just finish decent. We ended up doing a bit better than that. But I've been averaging pretty high up. I think I've been in the top at least 7 every race except for Darlington because of internet issues. I finished 29th there, but yeah, I don't know. It made up for Daytona though, having being stuck at the back of that field with damage, or the back of the 5-car field with damage.
Well, you did a great job, both of you. Congratulations on your 1-2 for the team, and that was a lot of fun for us to watch. So congratulations. 1-2, Jeffrey Sykes and Antonio Bianchi get the job done for their team. And we're going to be right back. We're going to try to get a hold of Douglas Newbigging, who came home 3rd. Oh, so close to maybe getting himself also his first win of the year. So when we return, we'll have that interview for you here. We are back here in the broadcast booth. We're sitting here with Douglas Newbigging, who came home 3rd, his best finish of the year for that 29 car. Douglas, you were really, really strong at Daytona, really strong here once again at Talladega. Kind of have a knack for this super speedway racing. What was the difference between 3rd and possibly 1st today for you?
Really, it was just fuel saving, pretty much. I was able to save enough there at the end. I had a gallon going into the final lap, so my main idea was just to slam on the throttle, go as hard as I could, try to work it out. I was hoping maybe a lap car would come up and maybe push me, but sadly that didn't happen. So I got to run off a 3 or 4 coming off of there. Was making the pass for second, and then from the sounds of it, Jeff ran out of fuel right there in the tri-oval, and the 51 had nowhere to go. He hit him, and he came up the track, got into me, and it was a big mess. But I mean, the way it was going, if 51, if that whole racing deal didn't happen there, I mean, I probably would have got the win there, personally speaking. But I wasn't anybody.
Certainly would have been close.
Oh yeah.
Jesse, you have any questions for our bronze medalist today?
Not really. Did you have any other strategy? Like, did you know the 51 and 04 were teammates, and you knew what they were going to be doing?
I did not know about them being teammates. I learned about them being teammates once I got back in Discord and saw them in the same channel. So that explained why they were sticking together. But if I knew that, I would have ran that a lot differently, though.
For sure. Good race overall, though. When did you run out of gas after the flag?
I ran out of gas when I pitted in pit road. Because I mean, I had an extra lap, so I could have probably slammed on the gas for another lap there. But it was funny when we were doing strategy calls, whole 9 yards. My team, they were saying we have to go before, and I said just stick it in. We got it. They all pitted. I stayed out, just tried to do a bold move, and worked out in the end very well.
It worked out for you. Your teammates finished 7th, 9th, and like 11th respectively, and you came home 3rd with a chance to win. Oh, so close. Only 3/10 off the leader. You were side by side with the leader there going through the tri-oval. So a great job for you again in that 29 car. Super Speedway races have been kind of your forte so far this year. Is there any races coming up that you feel like you can capitalize on and maybe keep this momentum going?
Yeah, I'm looking forward to Kansas personally. That's gonna probably be my next best chance to win, really. In Michigan, that's gonna probably be my second best. But for everything else, I either haven't ran yet or have not ran really good on. But I'll change it.
Again, congratulations on a 3rd place. Congratulations to all of our drivers. It was a lot of fun to watch. This was a very clean race. We had one incident with multiple cars on lap 12. I think it was about 4 cars were involved, or 5 cars were involved. 3 of them retired from the race after the incident occurred. And from that point on, it was green flag racing all the way through. No major incidents. So all of these drivers did a great job here. Again, if you guys are interested, the viewers at home, in joining this league, feel free to contact or message the page. We'll get you set up with the right personnel, and we'll have you off and running in no time at all. And you can see yourself up in this broadcast booth and maybe in victory lane, much like Jeffrey Sykes did today here at Talladega. That'll wrap it up for me, though, and everyone from Sims2 Serious. We want to thank you for watching on Facebook, Twitch, and DLive. Replays will always be on YouTube within the first couple of days of our broadcast here, so you can always go watch the replay of this race, driver or fan alike, and relive the favorite moments and the best moments, particularly in this race on the final lap when Jeffrey Sykes' engine decided to sputter coming to the checkered flag, and in a weird Ricky Stenhouse Jr.-esque situation, got a huge shove from his teammate over the line. So it was a lot of fun to watch. It was certainly, I imagine, it was a lot of fun to drive in this race, and you can be a part of it. Just message the page. Jesse, any final words? Any final thoughts before we go?
Not much. There's not too many good gas mileage races, and that was definitely one of them.
For sure. That may have been the most exciting fuel mileage race I have personally ever watched, especially on this platform. So that was a lot of fun. I'm just jealous I wasn't a part of it, man. I'm always the fuel save guy. I'm always the guy who pushes the clutch on cautions. And this would have been a lot of fun to drive. So these guys must have had a blast out here, and it was fun for us to watch. So if you guys tune in every Tuesday, you can see races just like this. It's been really, really high quality all season long. These drivers have been driving like this, so we hope to see a lot of you viewers back again next Tuesday. But until then, take care, and have a good one out there.